33 trucks lined up. Let's get the command to fire those engines. What do you say?
And now, for the moment we've all been waiting for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome our Grand Marshal and Honorary Starter, John Vorbeck, Chief Marketing Officer of CarShield.
Drivers, start your engines!
Never gets old. Love that sound. Trucks are getting ready to roll at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway.
The gateway to the West, a symbol of expansion and possibility. A chance for greatness. We're 3 races away from the playoff cutoff. The pressure is heating up under the Midwest sun.
Even though it's considered a super speedway, the race is just like a short track.
It's a chance to step up, to change your fate. Chaos or glory. It's the gateway to the playoffs.
The playoffs loom. Who's going to get in? Who's going to take that step forward? Worldwide Technology Raceway for the Gander RV and Outdoors Truck Series. Race number 14 of the season, and technically, Michael, it's not a short track, but it sure feels like one.
Well, Regan and I have both been there before, and it is a short track, 1.25 miles in length, Vince. But what I love, turns 1 and 2s banked more than 3 and 4. They're shaped differently. That means if you're a young short track racer and that's how you grew up, You're just going to love this place, Regan.
Oh, lots of heavy braking into the corners, Michael. It is a fun driver's racetrack. And we see here they're going to go for 160 laps for this race today. Shouldn't have any issues with fuel windows. You see where the stages are at 55, 55, and the last stage at 50 laps. And let's not forget, we've got this new unique pit setup for today as well.
Starting lineups led by the front row of Zane Smith and Brett Moffett. A little hard to be picked against one of those two guys. Matt Craft and Austin Hill back in row 2.
What if I gave you the field and I took row 1? Would you be into that?
I'd probably do it just because, but yeah, I think you wouldn't be too far off.
That's another row there, row 5. I've had my eyes on that. You talked about Johnny Sauter. We know how fast Derek Kraus has been. There's so many great stories. Friesen needing to turn his season around, and then a couple of youngsters here on row 8.
Sheldon Creed aways back in row 9 with Ty Majeski. That's a strong row to be that far back in the field. Jordan Anderson, so much fun to watch. And then we see Spencer Boyd and Clay Greenfield in the number 68 truck.
33 trucks will line up for the green flag today, and completed by Roger Roos. Well, we showed you the playoff standings a little while ago, and Johnny Sauter has a lot of work to do. He has got to win to get in, Alan.
Yes, he does, and he needs a little bit of good news. So the good news is that we're here just outside St. Louis, because he tells me he loves this track. He says it drives like a high-speed short track he grew up racing on. 7 starts here, never finished outside the top 5. The bad news is, Vince, as you said, he's running out of opportunities to get that victory. His crew chief, Joe Shear Jr., told me today that, look, there's no strategy. There's no going after the stage points. It's all about the victory. They think they can do it here today, guys.
Don't you love that, Vince, that at least you know one thing? You better go win.
Yep.
There going to be any strategy for that team.
Simplifies things, doesn't it? How about some of these cool onboard looks we're going to get today?
Yeah, that's Christian Eckes and Kyle Busch Motorsports Toyota, and we got a good look at him, but then also talked about these corners being different and unique. How about the bumper cam that Rudy Fugle let us put aboard that 18 truck? We're going to have some great shots out the front.
How many guys do you think he's going to use that bumper on today? That's going to be a lot of fun to watch, as is this guy, Matt Crafton. I feel like he's going to be very strong today. This is a kind of place where he can get ready for that championship battle to go to Phoenix. Similar racetrack. He told me earlier today he's going to be focused on getting that truck dialed in because of the similarities of Phoenix later this year.
Well, this is the final race of the Triple Truck Challenge. Remember, it's a $50,000 bonus to the winner. Now, Sheldon Creed and Zane Smith have already won the first 2 races of the Triple Truck Challenge. It would be a $150,000 total for one of those 2 drivers if they could win today. And if it's somebody else, well, they pocket an extra $50 grand for their efforts. Well, normally I pick the winner correctly each week, but last week, Michael actually got that honor. Who do you like this week, Mike?
I like the guy that I talked about at the opening with Brett Moffett and the speed that team has had and the job that he's done behind the wheel. I talked about him being my championship favorite. He's going to win this race today, Regan.
Well, I just talked about my guy a few seconds ago, Matt Crafton. We're going to be riding on board with Matt on the racetrack today. The last race I called with you guys at Kansas, he broke the streak. I think he's going to start a new streak. When I'm calling the races with you guys, he's going to win them all.
Yeah, good luck. Well, we should say good luck to Todd Gilliland, because he's normally, he's going to be the guy that gets the curse, because I'm going to pick him today. But Gilliland has finished second here at Worldwide Technology Raceway the last 2 years. I think he takes the next step forward and wins today. How about you, Alan?
Vince, look, we've seen almost with Christian Eckes. We've seen second place finishes with Christian Eckes. Today is the day he gets it done. First victory for that 18 truck.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about the playoffs today, and there's 3 drivers that are separated by just 9 points.
That is nail-biting time for these guys. Vince, I'm telling you, you can't hardly breathe when you're thinking about racing toward the playoffs and don't have hardly any margin for error.
And you want to get that win. You want to lock yourself in with a win, but you're also conscious of the fact that these guys are as close as they are. You got to worry about where your competitors are going to be this entire race long. You can't let that affect what you do in the long run, though.
And then, Vince, you also have to worry about those guys that haven't won yet back there that we just talked about. Johnny Sauter, he could put himself in victory lane and mess those guys' world all up.
Junior Joyner believes they've got a terrific race truck here for this track. Very excited about the prospects for his driver, Matt Crafton. getting it back to victory lane today. Well, what a beautiful day, and so glad that Mother Nature has cooperated with us. Zane Smith on the outside and Brett Moffett on the inside, and we're green and racing. Trying to make time on the inside, and Christian Eckes and Derek Kraus with him on that bottom line.
You can see on the top side, Gilliland trying to make a little move there, and he got some good momentum off turn 4 and is able to drive to the inside of Austin Hill.
Be curious to see how that groove works up as this race plays along. I think the fact that he was able to use that already so early is going to be a good sign as we see him get the position there and sweep up the front line.
You know, this is the new norm, Vince. I still can't imagine lining up and flying down into turn 1 with 30-some race trucks around you and not even been on the track yet, no practice. But these teams just show that they've got the technology to bring trucks to the track that are ready, race ready and set up, and the drivers just have to adapt to all the traffic and the craziness that's going on there. Big move to the outside there by Eckes. The 26, Tyler Ankrum, tries to answer on the bottom. Now he slips up top. I love that move there by Kraus. Strong around the outside.
Had a little bit of a question mark on many of these guys running with different spotters than they would typically have for these trucks. The Cup guys didn't make it from Daytona today. We see some aggressive moves early on. That shows a lot of confidence in a guy that maybe you don't work with all the time. I love it.
Kraus still trying to work the outside. A lot of times this track is thought of more as a one groove racetrack, but we've seen some side-by-side racing already.
Yeah, and I love that. I think it's time to just figure it out, see what's up there. I'm a fan of running up on the top, and you see Ankrum's following along with Kraus's move, so it looks like it's available to these guys, Regan.
Yeah, and this early in the race, Mikey, that's a good sign that it's becoming available already. It's only going to get better as the race goes on and as we work that top groove in more and more, and I think Alan's got a little bit on the 19 for us.
Yeah, Regan, you were mentioning the spotters. The spotter for Derek Kraus in that 19 truck is actually David Hunt, who spots for IndyCar driver Colton Herta. IndyCar also here this weekend. They had a race yesterday. They'll have a race later this afternoon. So Derek Kraus is spotter. A lot of experience at this track already this weekend.
You know, a lot of times in this part of the country, you know, we'll have temperatures in the 90s at this point in the summer. Today, very comfortable mid-70s, and the track conditions and the track temperature may rise a little bit as we go into the first hour and a half of this race, but it'll be interesting to see if guys start slipping and sliding around a little bit more as this race progresses.
Yeah, that's a great point, Vince, and those crew chiefs will be challenged down on pit road by this changing tracks. How do you adjust a truck, Regan, if it's handling perfectly, but then the crew chief's sitting there saying, well, it's gonna change. We better be ahead of the curve on those changes.
Yeah, and that's tough on a lot of these young guys, especially because they don't necessarily have that set of notes from coming here many different times to figure out what they think the track's going to do as it does adjust. And you got to remember, we've run a lot of nighttime races at Worldwide Technologies Raceway.
There is Austin Hill in that blue number 16, followed by Matt Crafton in the 88. Crafton's teammate Ben Rhodes in the 99. This has not been a track where Hill has performed particularly well as far as the finishing results in recent years, but he is a threat each and every time out. He is the regular season points leader. And remember, you win the regular season points title, 15 playoff bonus points come with that prize. Crafton on the inside, challenging Hill now.
That's a nice dive down into the corner there by Crafton. He's able to gas it up just in the center, as you hear there. You hear him get on the gas just to squirt himself just out in front of Hill and complete that pass.
Have some guys shifting down in 1 and 2 today?
Yeah, I would have to expect we're going to have some guys. I couldn't tell if Matt Crafton was right there just yet, but I definitely would anticipate a lot of guys shifting as this race works on.
Zane Smith continues to lead. There's Johnny Sauter starting to work his way up through the pack. Sauter started 9th today, has slipped back a spot to the 10th position as we ride along with Matt Crafton.
And there we have it. He is shifting, Vince. We saw him right there grab the gear, go from 3rd to 4th, and you actually heard him catch that rev limiter just a little bit. A lot of times at a racetrack like this one, when you do have to shift, you'll use that rev limiter to tell you when to go, and usually set that below where the mark is that you actually want to be at.
Let's listen to this action as he goes down into turn 1. Sometimes they'll shift when in traffic, and they might not when they're by themselves. But Crafton goes to 3rd gear, running alone.
Got a little damage in the rear end there, doesn't he, already from the start, getting bumped?
Yeah, look at that back left has been out there, and the bumper as well.
Yeah, looks like the 99 of Ben Rhodes, his teammate. Maybe Crafton had to check up with Austin Hill there in front of him, and Rhodes got into the back end of Matt Crafton a bit.
Showed that glitz at the top of the show of teammates getting into it. It just seems like they always find a way.
That's a theme for 2020, isn't it? Everything else that's messed up, teammates keep crashing into each other.
Zane Smith leads early on. .21-year-old Zane Smith has led them all so far at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
His 21-year-old Zane Smith.
When he turns 22, his number will go to 22, and then Brett Moffett. Well,
no, he's 23.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Moffett running 2nd, Todd Gilliland 3rd. Not much has changed in regards to the front runners in this event today so far. 17 laps in, stage 1.
I know Brett Moffett's 28.
He'd like to say that he's 23.
He's accomplished a lot in his 28 years behind the wheel of a race car. And I think this is the guy you better watch in 2020 for the championship, like I said earlier. But you got to respect and appreciate the ability of that Zane Smith at 21, right? He's just another guy that showed up in the trucks, and right off, you knew that he's going to be able to get the job done, like Chandler Smith.
Struggling a bit right now, though. He's fallen back, lost almost 10 spots, Alan.
Yeah, falling behind, And remember, he's hitting these big, high-speed tracks for the first time this season. And talking with the team, that they stress that for a young driver, it can be really tough to learn the effects of aero. And I was surprised to learn here, they say, is one of the most aero-effective tracks on the circuit, Regan. Maybe you can explain how tough that is for a driver to learn the effects of air, especially in the truck.
Well, Alan, it's extremely difficult. We got to picture these trucks punch a huge old hole in the air. So as you're going through the air and you got the big spoiler on the back of the huge front of them, that makes for a problem, because if you're behind vehicles, your car or your truck's going to handle completely different. He's trying to equate that to what his handling is right now. When he does get clean air, now all of a sudden you got the downforce on the front of it, and you've got to say, okay, it's going to grip better, it's going to turn better, I don't want to be too loose. So a challenge for somebody like Chandler to get that all figured out as quick as he has to.
Just his 8th career start, but it is the first time he's been back to a track for the 2nd time. So
and he top 5'd it here a year ago. So you know he's got the ability to get the job done. I'm just kind of confused as to how they could be that far off this early. It's really tough to pass, and when you get picked off by 5 or 6 trucks, that's a concern.
Stuart Friesen in the 52. A little contact with Derek Kraus in that 19. Friesen coming off a win at Albany, Saratoga on Friday night.
He's struggled in his truck this year. That's a new situation for Stewart and Trip Bruce and the boys at Halmar Racing. And it's not been a great year in the trucks, but I'm telling you, Regan, every time he gets out of his truck and goes and gets in his dirt modified, he goes to victory lane. So winning is good therapy as he works through these issues in the trucks this year.
It's definitely nice to have that to keep your confidence up. And then when we showed that contact they just had right there, we were coming off of talking about the aerodynamics and how important aero is at Gateway. You'd say, well, why would Stewart run into him on a straightaway? He would run into him because he's trying to cut it so close to get to that quarter panel and side draft that other truck, because it slows that truck down. It acts like a brake for the guy that you're getting to the quarter panel of, and you see how aggressive they have to be, even at a flat racetrack like Worldwide Technology Raceway.
Creed taking the spot from Kraus for 11th. There's Gilliland and Moffett now dueling for 2nd.
What about Gilliland? I've been watching his lap times. Fastest truck on the track the last 3 or 4 laps, and he's closed right in on our 2nd place truck of Brett Moffett.
Gilliland 10th in points, sits on that playoff bubble. 4 points to the good.
That would be a bad bubble to get burst, wouldn't it, Vince? I mean, when you're right there, can taste the playoffs, and knowing every lap that you run, you've got to be perfect in order to make sure you preserve that tiny margin that he has.
Zane Smith working his way through some lap traffic. He's won the last 2 oval races, including last week at Dover. Zane Smith trying to go back to back. Never a good sign. That's Johnny Sauter, and that's been fitting for the season that he has had. The 13 is on pit lane. Alan?
Yeah, and they're trying to diagnose the problem still. Johnny Sauter came over the radio, said, I've never felt anything like it. It shook. And then Joe Shear Jr., the crew chief, just told me as they were walking back to the garage, it was something in the drivetrain. They're still trying to diagnose it right now.
Boy, sometimes you just have those years, don't you? And Johnny Sauter and guys like Stuart Friesen experiencing a similar fate this season.
Come to a racetrack where Johnny Sauter's never been outside of the top 5. We think today could be that day, Vince. And to your point, when it's not going your way, it's just simply not going your way. And curious to see what the final diagnosis, other than the drivetrain, is with that. If it was something in the transmission, it makes you wonder, okay, do the other trucks need to keep an eye on that as well?
Great view from the bumper cam of Christian Eckes. That's Tyler Ankrum, 7th place running truck in the 26.
Oh, I just love listening to him work that gas, Vince. He wants so badly to hop in it, but there's just too much power under the hood, so he's got to work it. Let's listen to him down here in 1.
Have to work the throttle quite as much that time. You see he stays a little bit closer to the 26 of Tyler Ankrum. Because of that, gets a better run down the straightaway.
Yeah, we talked in the track description, Regan, that turns banked a little bit more than 3 and 4, so you can lean on that banking to get that grip off. Turns 3 and 4 here, it's flatter and it's more difficult.
I've always thought it was a matter of when, not if, that Christian Eckes would win in the Gander Truck Series. 3-time runner-up this season, and just get the feeling that his time is coming. He's been knocking on the door. Maybe today is the day.
I love what he just did right there. He ran higher getting into the corner through turn 1, and that way when he came through turns 2, right after he shifted, he could cut it down and get a bigger run on Tyler Ankrum. As we see Tyler Ankrum now is going to do the crossover. He's going to come back underneath him. I love this battle.
This is some great racing, and another kid that's creeping up into this battle is that 2 truck of Sheldon Creed. Been so fast everywhere we go this year, and he looks like he's got another good truck today.
Creed won here in ARCA a couple of years ago, and they've always got a fast truck out of that GMS garage, and crew chief Jeff Stankiewicz does a terrific job with this 2 truck, and Creed has done a good job wheeling at a 2-time winner this season. One at Kentucky in that rain-shortened affair, and then one on the road course at Daytona.
And right behind them was another GMS truck. Vince, Sam Mayer in the 24 has made his way inside the top 10. So nice start to the race for the youngster there in the 24 truck.
Yeah, Mayer, just 17 years old, out of Wisconsin. Ran top 5 in the ARCA race yesterday, and the 3rd time he's run top 5 in ARCA here at Worldwide Technology. And hoping to do the same in the truck. By the way, in that 24 truck next week at Darlington, we're going to see Greg Biffle. That'll be fun.
Certainly will.
He seemed to have a good go of it last year when he ran a truck race. I believe it was Texas, right? Just showed up and won the thing.
Worked out okay for him.
Well, I wouldn't expect much different. I mean, he's going to have a chance to win that race at Darlington. You know that. The 24 truck is fast everywhere it goes, and Biffle's about as good as there's ever been in a truck.
Well, and speaking of 24, shout out to William Byron and Chad Canals for their big win in the Cup race last night. Williams' first career Cup victory.
You know what I love about the trucks, Vince, is we get to see them right out of late models or Legends cars, and they get to try these NASCAR tracks for the first time. And there's been a handful of guys that come along, Regan, that we say not only are they going to win truck races, that kid's going to win a Cup race. And William Byron was that driver, just like Christopher Bell, just like Eric Jones. There's been a number of drivers where you just knew they had the ability to go win in the big time.
Yeah, and he's had so much speed with that 24 car. I think we all anticipated it would have happened before this point, so it was nice to see him get it done last night. And what a way to do it, right? It bumps you into the playoffs. It accomplishes everything you need to do. Gives you momentum going into the playoffs as well.
And you win at Daytona. I mean, is there a cooler place?
I don't think there is.
Oh, man.
The situation surrounding it was awesome.
It's good to see that 24 back in victory lane too. Only the second driver to put the 24 number in victory lane, along with our colleague Jeff Gordon. Back on board with the 18 of Christian Eckes, challenging Austin Hill now.
There he goes. That truck's handling really well. Eckes is just creeping his way up the leaderboard up to 5th now.
We're getting to that stage now, basically 37 laps on these tires, and your truck's changing what it's doing. A lot of these guys are probably starting to get tighter than what they want to be, maybe having a little bit of trouble turning it down off the banking to get that momentum to get the run on somebody, as we see Austin Hill losing another position here, or battling to not lose another position, I should say.
You know, you mentioned the tires, Regan, and this is a new tire compound and construction that the trucks are running here today, but it will also be the same tire that they'll run in the championship race at Phoenix. So there's a lot of homework being done today.
I talked to a number of these guys before the race, and they all said the same thing. The first thing out of their mouth was, we've got to get good notes for Phoenix. If we want to make it to Phoenix to battle for that championship, to be one of the championship 4, we have to get good notes today. This is the only, call it a test session, if you will, that they're going to have. And you're at a racetrack at Worldwide Technology Raceway that is very similar in terms of the banking. You got different banking at both ends of the track. Perhaps you're shifting a little bit at Phoenix, much like you're shifting today, and a lot of similarities that you can take from it.
Well, we showed you the misfortune of Johnny Sauter. Alan is with him.
Yeah, back here in the garage with Johnny Sauter. You said something like it shook like you never heard it before. What happened?
I'm not really sure. I just know the starter solenoid's laying on the exhaust, and looks like the bell housing broke. So this is the story of the year, you know what I mean? Break shit that you've never broken or broke before. So whatever. Just proud of everybody at Motorsport, and try to get them next week.
Yeah, still 2020 for Johnny Sauter, guys.
Boy, isn't that the truth? But you know, you've been around as long as Johnny's been around. You know that's racing, right? I mean, you have those years sometimes, don't you?
Yeah, bell housing, that's a new one to me. That's not something you typically hear of in any racing vehicle breaking like that. And the redness in Johnny's face, I don't think it was because he was so hot. He didn't run that many laps. It was because he was so mad.
Nobody's been able to get past that truck. It's the 21 of Zane Smith. He's led them all so far. What a beautiful sight that is. Fans in the stands at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway.
The president of the St. Louis Chamber of Commerce, Kenny Wallace, said it's going to be a beautiful day for racing out in St. Louis. And man, he was right. So good to see those fans up there. And look at this. The action on the track has been great as well. Here comes a battle for the lead.
Todd Gilliland taking a look on Zane Smith. Smith has led them all so far, and Gilliland trying to take away that top spot. 10 to go here in stage 1.
Can they use that lap traffic as a pick, one of them on the other?
Gilliland takes the spot from Zane Smith.
Zane Smith said, I needed that playoff point that they're going to give away in a few laps. And Todd Gilliland said, I hope I need it. Yeah, so that's why they're racing so hard. Every point, every position matters.
And that was really just a perfectly executed pass by Todd Gill, and he got to the inside, didn't overdrive the corner, which allowed him to exit turn 2 side by side with him. And once he did that, he was able to dictate where he wanted to go in turn 3. I like how he made that move, and I like the fact that his truck has been good behind other trucks. We'll have to see what his lap time does and how quick he can pull away right here to know exactly how strong he is. The good news for Zane Smith, before this caution comes out, he's going to, or the stage end comes, he's going to have an opportunity to see where he needs to be better now. He hasn't seen that yet today because he's been out front the whole time.
Well, and for Gilliland, every single position and point is important because he came into this race on the playoff bubble. And we mentioned in the open, he's been the runner-up here at this track the last 2 years. To take that next step forward, score his second career win, possibly.
Regan, how good does that feel when you know you're going to a track that they say there's horses for courses? This is a course that this young man loves. How good of a feeling is that?
Well, I think the feeling's even better when you know that you're not going to practice, when you're going to show up there and you're going to have to get the green flag and go immediately. You know where you want to hit your marks. You know exactly what you want to do, as we see a good battle here for 8th place with Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed right now.
3 wins between those two this season. We mentioned those 2 wins that Creed had earlier, and Austin Hill, the winner at Kansas, won the first race of that doubleheader at Kansas. Matt Crafton won the next day. Hill, a 4-time winner last season, but he missed the final 4 in the championship and ended up 5th in the championship standings. Has his eye on the title this year, and Creed is knocking on the door.
Literally. Well, knocking on the bumper, I guess, not the door. He got a hold of Hill a little bit there off turn 4. This guy's been impressing me, Vince. I mean, the 24 truck is just running some really fantastic lap times, and not a lot of experience behind the wheel of one of these trucks, but certainly showing he can get the job done. I keep my eye on him. I don't know what this kid tells his crew chief, though, when he goes to pit road. Regan, he doesn't really have a lot of experience. Do they leave that truck alone, or do they adjust for that weather that's heating up, like Vince pointed out?
Well, I think at this point the crew chief needs to be looking at the lap times, and he needs to say, hey, our truck is getting faster as the tires are getting older, as it's getting a little warmer on the racetrack, as the track's getting more rubber down. They just keep picking spots off and picking up speed. So I would say even if he's wanting something major, maybe the crew chief doesn't go quite as major as what he's asking for right now.
As I mentioned earlier, Mayer finished 3rd in the ARCA race last night. What a great weekend of racing it's been here at Worldwide Technology Raceway. IndyCar doubleheader, ARCA, the trucks. It has been a terrific weekend for the fans to be able to come and participate in. Curtis Francois, the owner of this facility, and Chris Blair, the general manager, they've worked so hard to get everything ready for fans to be able to attend, and all the safety procedures that have been put in place. It's great to see their hard work come to fruition and see fans in the stands on a beautiful Sunday enjoying some racing.
We had some good shots earlier on how Matt Crafton got that damage to the rear bumper. Right now, Christian Eckes has given us some great shots of how bad it truly is, as up close and personal as we can get. I love this bumper camera on this truck.
Crafton running 4th. Man, he is on a roll. Top 5 in 6 of the last 7. I mean, this is as good as that 88 team has been in a long time.
Like since last November?
Well, I talked to Junior. They were the champion last November. They were, Michael. But I talked to Junior Joyner, and the crew chief for Crafton, and I said, I get the feeling, even though you won the championship last year and you had some good results last year, that you're running a lot better. And he said, we're running a lot better than we were last year.
I couldn't agree. I was just messing with you, Vince. I couldn't agree more. And I think that's why I still think about Brett Moffett in this 2020 season, the speed that he's had. He hasn't gone to victory lane yet, but Matt Crafton didn't last year either, and he got the championship. So it'll be interesting to see if Moffett follows that same story, and that's a nice exit there by Eckes.
Boy, I've been impressed with that 18 truck here today. Final lap of stage 1. Eckes taking the 4th spot from Crafton. Remember, the top 10 get playoff points or stage points, and the winner of the stage gets a playoff point to take with him throughout the postseason. And right now, that looks to be Todd Gilliland. His lead is almost a second and a half as he works through and will take the green and white checkers. Todd Gilliland, his 3rd career stage win, his 1st in 2 years. Strong performance for Todd Gilliland. A little background info on the 20-year-old from Sherrills Ford. Todd Gilliland led the final 10 laps of that stage, wins the stage and gets the playoff point and the 10 stage points. You see Tyler Ankrum also fighting for that last couple of playoff spot positions, finishing out in the top 10 to grab a stage point as well. Remember, new pit procedures here for this race today. You can only change tires during the stage breaks. That's where we are now. So all these teams will take 4 new tires. And you won't lose or gain spots on pit road during these pit stops.
Yeah, you just have 3 minutes to get your work done. And you will exit pit road in the same order that you entered. So that's why, Vince, it makes perfect sense what you said. They'll all get 4 tires because there's nothing to be gained by not getting 4. 2 wouldn't be an option. none obviously isn't a good idea.
Maybe a little bit of a test run for something down the road we may or may not see in the NASCAR ranks, maybe at this level of the Gander Truck Series, but it's a huge cost-saving measure.
Yeah, it certainly is that. And just think of the logistics, Vince. These Cup teams usually pit the trucks, and they were down in Daytona, so I don't even know if they could have made it there or not. It certainly would have been a big expense.
Alan?
Yeah, and you're just watching these teams. They get to take their time on these pit stops. But starting with Todd Gilliland, your leader, great first stage for him. One of the bubble drivers who obviously really needed those stage points. He says he's just getting tight. When he gets back on the gas from, breaking into the corner, that's when he gets tight. So expect that 38 truck and the team to make an adjustment once they start the work on there. Gilliland passed the 21 of Zane Smith out there on the track. Zane Smith, though, picking up where he left off toward the front of the field. He says that he needs to get better getting into the corner. When he slams on those brakes, the whole truck, goes back to the track. That's where he's losing a lot of time, hitting the brakes, so he wants an adjustment there. And then the 24 of Sam Mayer, a great run in that first stage, up 9 spots early on in this race. Remember, Sam Mayer raced the ARCA race yesterday, the K&N race yesterday, and finished 3rd there. A lot of dialogue on the radio for that 24 truck. They're just planning ahead the adjustments they want to make. They were going to make a huge adjustment, and Sam Mayer said, no, please no, I don't want to be too loose, especially as this track comes in, so they dialed that back a little, got him they're pulling a rubber out of the back of the truck, and they're also making an air pressure adjustment on the 24. Great run for that 17-year-old.
Yeah, indeed, and one of 8 teenagers in the field. It's a great crop of young racers here in this field here today. 13 drivers 21 years or younger in the field today for the Gander Trucks. Todd Gilliland was your Stage 1 winner. I cannot wait. Fox NFL Sunday back on September 13th with a great slate of early games. about those matchups. And then the blockbuster in America's Game of the Week, Tom Brady and the new look Buccaneers taking on Drew Brees and the Saints. Make sure you check local listings for the games in your area. You can always watch it on the Fox Sports app. The Gateway Arch, 630 feet tall. Have you ever been up to the top of the arch?
I haven't. I've been at the foot of it, but I didn't go up in it. I think the elevator was broken.
Yeah, very interesting ride on a little elevator up to the top.
I've always wondered how you get an elevator to go sideways like that.
Technology.
Very tricky.
Worldwide technology.
Very, very well played. Now, there's the 30 truck of Danny Bone, and a really special promotion and sponsorship with this truck this week. Sierra Delta, a veteran service organization that provides veterans access to dog therapy. And they've got a display outside the racetrack here this weekend and doing such tremendous work, Sierra Delta. So because of these new pit procedures, after they exit pit road, they line up there on the backstretch and get in the proper lineup. How about Alan on our leader, Todd Gilliland?
Yeah, and Vince, teams are really taking advantage of the long time they have on pit road. Todd Gilliland was actually complaining about a brake vibration. So they, under that left front, so they took the tire off and really got under there and took a deep look at it and said, hey, the brakes look fine. You're doing everything right. David Gilliland, team owner, said they actually made a big adjustment for the leader, Todd Gilliland. So they expect him to adjust and even get better. Another thing we saw on pit road, the hood was up on the 88 of Matt Crafton after a pretty good first stage. But his crew chief, Junior Joyner, told me that coming to pit road, the truck shut off. They didn't know what happened. They believe he may have been close on fuel, and that was the issue. It was a surprise to them to think they'd be that close on fuel, but it's running well now, and they think that was the diagnosis, but something to keep an eye on, guys.
Well, a little interesting to be that close on fuel. I don't think we believe that we should have been in a fuel window anywhere at all right there. Something to me that I love is hearing all those changes that these guys were able to make right there during that pit sequence. I know what we can do in 15 seconds. We can take a good car or a truck and make it go from good to terrible or the other way around. These guys had 3 minutes to come up with different ideas, and we saw a lot of different things taking place. Packers being pulled out of the front to adjust the heights of the trucks and different things with wedge adjustments and I'm sure air pressure and everything else.
And listen, you talk about heights of the truck. I'm a little bit concerned about the left front of our leader, Todd Gilliland. I mean, you see he's behind the pace car. When we get a look at it, he's worn that splitter down a lot on that left side. We talk about slamming the brakes on and the front settling and Packers and how you keep them off the road. Well, he's lost some of his splitter vents, and that means he's lost some of his downforce. So I know the team had a chance to take a close look at that. I don't know how you would adjust accordingly because downforce, you need all of it you can get, and they've got an issue there.
Look at the 38 brain thrust up there with Chris Lawson, crew chief.
They're leading, but they have a potential issue. That's a good place to have an issue.
I know that they're not going to be able to put any of that splitter back on the truck as the race goes on. Once it's gone, it's gone. You're not getting any more.
Not even in 3 minutes?
Not even in 3 minutes, no.
There's our choose zone, Vince.
So you've got to choose top lane or bottom lane.
And you can't run over it.
Or that's a penalty. You go to the back.
And I like it. I think it adds another element to the race. And we saw most people just following suit, getting the best position, not worrying about necessarily inside or out. And Regan, if I'm the leader, Gilliland, I definitely want the outside. I want to set the pace, dive into turn one on the outside, and know that I can keep that position. But then after that, it's pretty much a toss-up. Don't you think whether top or bottom is better?
Yeah, and that's why I think, Michael, we just saw right there. It was pretty evened up. We saw a little bit, maybe around 5th or 6th place. A couple guys decided to go high instead of taking the bottom lane. A lot of what you're setting up is going to be for that exit of turn 2. You really don't care as much about getting into turn 1 as you do what's going to happen when you exit off of turn 2. And you want that momentum a lot of times at the high side if you can't jump up and clear a guy.
Through stage 1, our Xfinity fastest lap belonged to Sam Mayer, who Regan was so impressed with in the early going.
Yeah, and he was back in traffic most of the start of this race when you thought he would have been fast, so that's impressive.
It was when he got that clean air. He started clicking some really good lap times off, and that's a good sign for him, but we'll have to see if that carries through on the second stage for him.
Now, all 5 of the drivers on that list, I think, have got good race trucks that we saw in stage 1, and we'll see if anything is different here in stage 2 as we get ready to roll. Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith on the front row. Stage 2 underway.
Nice break by Gilliland. He got on the gas hard and was able to get his nose out in front. of Smith, but Zane really drove hard down into turn 1. I think it's going to work out in Gilliland's favor, though.
Saw that truck shake just a little bit as he got on the brakes, maybe got in a little further than what he wanted to for the lane that he was in on the racetrack there, and it may cost him this spot getting into turn 3 now.
Yeah, Moffett jumps to the bottom and trying to take second from Zane Smith. Good look from the bumper cam of Christian Eckes. That second place battle just ahead of him.
Another truck down on the bottom there, the white truck, second in line on the bottom. That's Sam Mayer, and he is hauling. That truck is handling really well.
GMS has won 3 straight races, and they look to continue that streak here today. Mayer, one of those running out of the GMS stable, the 17-year-old from Wisconsin.
Look at Matt Crafton. Diving to the bottom, making sure Mayer knew that there was company behind him.
Ben Rhodes there in the bluish-green aqua-colored truck right behind Mayer.
It's so frustrating for Matt Crafton right there. He didn't have a bad exit to turn 4, but where he ended up on the bottom of the racetrack there with the other trucks lined up on the outside, there was actually a little bit of an aero advantage for those guys, and that cost him a spot getting into turn 1. And we see he's stuck on the bottom right now, trying to get back up. Contact right behind him as well.
How about we crank it up a bit? This one's sponsored by PNC Bank. How about that battle back around 15th? I mean, you want to fight for the lead, fight for 5th. Well, how about 5th fighting for 15th?
What about the racing on this little 1.25 mile track? It's just been so entertaining. Guys shifting gears, getting loose, pack racing, all over one another.
I don't think Grant Enfinger was enjoying that battle for 15th right there as he was getting beaten, banged all over the racetrack. And we're already starting to see that third line even come in turns 3 and 4. I can't believe how high a couple of these trucks have been down there in that end of the racetrack.
Yeah, Enfinger now slotted back in the 19th position. And remember, this is a 2-time winner this season. Enfinger barely inside the top 20.
I read some of his notes coming into this race, and they were very optimistic. Had a lot of speed at this racetrack, winning stages, but felt like that he could win here today, but he's going to have to make up a lot of ground if that's the case. There's a couple of strong trucks here, too. Ben Rhodes has been solid today, and Sheldon Creed has just been slowly marching toward the front. Really good handling 2 truck.
6th and 7th. Sam Mayer in 5th, just ahead of them, and Christian Eckes, or excuse me, Chandler Smith right behind in case somebody wobbles to take advantage.
Yeah, whatever problems Chandler had early in this race, Vince, he's got those squared away. He's been able to really pick up the pace and join this battle, which basically is for 4th position. These 4 trucks, and along with the 51 there of Chandler Smith, are battling in this big group.
It's a high-speed pace lap we just watched right there, and we see the 24 Sam Mayer finally get cleared into that 4th position. Even in that traffic, he's still been clicking off some of the fastest laps on the racetrack, and now he's going to have the opportunity to chase down the leaders in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd here.
Eckes, the bumper cam with Zane Smith just ahead of him, 2nd place, and the 38 of Todd Gilliland is the leader. Eckes out of that Kyle Busch Motorsports stable. 9 different drivers have scored their first career win driving for KBM. Eckes certainly a candidate to become the 10th. running inside the top 5 again today. The Gander Trucks at Gateway. You've been watching throughout the commercial break, and Todd Gilliland continues to lead at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Zane Smith running second and Christian Eckes third. Sam Mayer continues to impress in that 4th spot.
He's going to be a factor in who wins this race, Vince. His lap times, like Regan pointed out, have just been the best on the track, and that's after a pit stop.
How much does it help that he ran the ARCA race last night?
That's a huge help, especially for a young guy, 17 years old. If nothing else, you at least get to see that track again. And I know it's two different vehicles, right? And they drive differently, but you can still find marks on that racetrack, understand what it's going to feel like when you hit your brakes, and where you want maybe to find that extra little bit of grip on the track, and how you can adjust your line to make your truck better if it's not exactly what you want.
Not quite halfway through stage 2. Check in with Alan Cavana.
Yeah, different stories developing out there on the track. Let's start with the 88 of Matt Crafton. Had that great first stage, and then he came down pit road losing power. They're still not convinced it was a fuel issue because they just don't have the same speed and power that they had in that first stage. Matt Crafton reporting it's really tight, but as to why they've fallen back so far, Junior Joyner's crew chief said it's still kind of a mystery, so they got to figure that out. On the other end of the spectrum, the 51, the youngster, Chandler Smith backs it in. He was having a really good stage, guys, just backed it into the wall.
Boy, just as Alan was about to update his situation, Chandler Smith goes around and makes contact from inside the top 10. He was running 7th at the time. That brings out the caution.
And Vince, he dropped like a rock at the start of this race, falling some 10 positions, and remounted and rallied, running inside the top 10, like you mentioned, 7th position. Gets down in the corner on the bottom and got loose. That's just a lesson that's really difficult for these drivers to understand, how loose they can get on the bottom. Isn't that right, Regan?
Yeah, and especially when you got a truck to your outside like he did right there, makes it even more challenging. Probably just overdrove that corner just a little bit too much, and once he missed it, it was all over with.
And I'm going to tell you what, Vince, as a young racer like Chandler, with the speed he had, you like to make those. You need to make those mistakes, but save your truck. You know, if you get in that position and you bobble and you save it, you're like, okay, I learned a lesson. But unfortunately, this lesson he learned is going to cost him a chance to finish this race.
Well, you guys were talking earlier about the aero, and you know, a lot of times you might not think that there would be that much aero here, but we saw it right there, right?
Yeah, I think that was just a little bit of aero. It was also the braking. It looked like he just missed his braking zone maybe a little bit, and maybe something happened before he even got that close to the truck on the outside.
Well, there's some significant damage to the 51. Hey, it's baseball season. Gotta get that bat out, put it to use. Hey, don't miss it Friday, live from the WWE Thunderdome. Witness the fallout from the Universal Championship Triple Threat match. Plus the stunning partnership between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. It's explained on an all-new Friday Night SmackDown. 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central on Fox. 2 races left in the regular season after today. Darlington and Richmond. How about that combination?
That is a wonderful sight, Vince, because we've raced these trucks at those tracks before, but it's been a while, and it's going to be a lot of fun to see how these teams adapt when we go racing at Darlington. That's going to be fun to watch.
Darlington shaped exactly like Worldwide Technology Raceway, but they couldn't be 2 different racetracks or more different racetracks in the country. I'm looking forward to these guys running in the heat next weekend.
Well, we saw 98 come to pit road with some issues. Alan, what were they working on?
Yeah, one of the only trucks that came down to pit road. They were having a terrible stage there and falling all the way back. I talked to his crew chief, Jeff Hensley, who said they were just way too tight. And then when they came to pit road, he said they were way too hot, Grant reported over the radio. So they popped the hood. They took a look for any issue. You can see it right here. They're not allowed to change tires, remember, but they made a big chassis adjustment. Ended up popping the hood, taking a look under there to see what the issue was. They took some tape off the front to try to cool it down. The good news for the 98 crew, the temperatures are coming down. They were able to make that adjustment. They weren't in danger of losing many spots, so they decided to come down to the pits now and make that adjustment.
Yeah, remember the new pit procedures in effect today. You can only change tires at the stage breaks. You can do the other adjustments, fuel and so forth, at any time, but you can only change tires during the stage breaks. And that's a rule in effect today, and it will be today only, at least at this stage.
Yeah, just learning a little bit about how these procedures might work. The fans enjoy them, how the teams react to them. So far, it's been a great race.
Zane Smith on the inside and Todd Gilliland outside. They're the only two that have led today. They'd like to keep it that way.
It's kind of selfish, isn't it? I like the way Smith's able to get that 21 truck down in the corner, but great turn on the high side there by the 38 of Gilliland.
Christian Eckes coming along to take second place. Boy, Eckes has been strong today, and right behind in fourth is Sam Mayer. Brett Moffett is there in fifth. I mean, there are a lot of good trucks out there, but those in the top five, I think either one of those top five wins, I'm not going to be surprised today.
How cool is that, Regan? We're talking about a 17-year-old who's only made a handful of starts. We're talking about he could be one of the kids that wins today. That tells you how much talent there is and how we get to recognize them first here in the Truck Series.
You know, the depth of this field is so good right now, Michael, with these drivers, and see some close action right there with the 98 truck and the 23.
Eckes give a nice little push to the 38 of Gilliland on the restart and bump him out front.
You see quickly the 45 of Ty Majeski. He's made his way into the top 10 as well. Sheldon Creed in fifth there. He hops up in front of Brett Moffett, and that meant contact on Moffett. Luckily, he didn't do any damage to that left rear tire.
So you got to be very careful in that situation that you don't have that left rear get cut down on you. He was fortunate.
Matt Crafton just outside the top 10 in 13th. That's Austin Hill to the left, and just ahead of him is Stuart Friesen. Friesen working back-to-back top 10s. Are they starting to make some progress with that project, Mike?
I think they're getting better. Certainly had a lot to learn and a lot of making up to do at the start of the season when they went on their own. They used to get their equipment from Kyle Busch. They've changed that, and used to get their equipment from GMS, and now they get it from Kyle Busch. But it's just an alliance. They don't do everything for Halmar Racing, and Stewart struggled this year, but right now running inside the top 10, and I think they are getting better, Vince.
Austin Hill, the points leader, right behind Friesen in that 11th spot.
You know, expected a little bit more out of Austin Hill today than what we're seeing right now. I know it's not been one of his best racetracks over the years, but you know, as good as that race team is, you would think that they'd be getting zoned in on where they want to be right now with it, and it just hasn't quite worked out for him today here.
Yeah, for one reason or another, this has just not been his track. He's finished 11th a couple of times before, but no top 10s here.
He's going to hope that nothing carries over to Phoenix from here based on how today's going. If this is any sign of what the championship race is going to look like, not a good sign for him right now.
Well, and they struggled at Phoenix last year, so they'd have that in mind. I know you hear guys shifting. We're talking about the tire being the same. There's so much being diagnosed right now by these teams as they look to not only win today, but be ready when they get to Phoenix.
You mentioned him, Mike. Ty Majeski in that 45 truck inside the top 10. Good run for Majeski today as he goes side by side there with Stuart Friesen.
See a little bit of damage to the left rear of the 45 truck. Somebody's been in on his tire, but no worries at the moment. Look at that string of trucks, just trying to figure out any way to make moves, but I like the options they have. Regan, you can see Majeski goes up high and then diamonds the corner. We saw Ankrum just ahead of him taking a whole different line.
And a lot of times you'll do that just to do whatever you can to get that better run on the truck that's in front of you. Sometimes you do it though just to get a little bit of extra clean air. We see Majeski go high in turn 3 there. That's more or less to get that clean air on that truck and get it turned early, make that straightaway just a little bit longer when you get to the front stretch.
Christian Eckes chasing our leader, Todd Gilliland. Allen on the 18.
Yeah, we're seeing Christian Eckes run some of the best laps he has so far this race. I talked with the crew chief, Rudy Fugel, before this race, and he said the most important thing was to adjust to the changing track temperature. It's getting hotter out here, and I just checked with the 18 team. They said the track temperature has raised up 10 degrees, and they are adjusting for it, and the 18 has taken off. Michael, maybe you can explain how sensitive a track can be when the temperature goes up.
Well, if your truck is perfect and it goes up 10 degrees, it isn't going to be perfect anymore. So sometimes you hope the weather will play into your cards. Maybe you're a little bit tight, and the cooler conditions will help those front tires stick more. And then when it gets hot, maybe the back tires don't stick as well. So it can change your truck. You just have to be a computer, Regan. That driver's got to be telling Rudy Fugel, the team, everything he's feeling, so they can diagnose what he's saying and how the temperature has changed during those comments and what they do to address them.
Well, and something else that you just keyed on right there, Michael, is Rudy Fugel, the crew chief for that team. That notebook is extensive that he's got. So when the driver does give him all that information, he knows exactly what he wants to do as a crew chief to make the perfect adjustment for this truck to keep getting better for those changing conditions. And we're seeing it right now as he's running very strongly in the second position.
Well, we heard it in the pre-race interview with Alan Eckes. This is a place he's comfortable with. He's run well inside the top 5 in 2 previous races here before incidents took him out of contention. But this is a track he's had success at. He just hasn't had the finishing result that he hopes for.
Those previous 2 races also, he's led laps. That's something he hasn't done yet today, but don't look now. It's gonna happen pretty shortly here at the rate that he's going.
Todd Gilliland and Zane Smith, the only 2 that have led today. Gilliland's led the most laps. Looking for career win number 2. Does it happen today?
The Gander Trucks at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway. Racing here for the 20th time, and so good to see fans in the stands here at this racetrack. Curtis Francois, the owner, and GM Chris Blair worked so hard to put protocol in place to allow fans to be able to come and attend, and depending on how many are in your group, assigned them their seats, and it's worked out great. Got a great day for it. Todd Gilliland continues to lead with 11 to go here in stage 2. We mentioned this is the 20th Truck Series event here at this facility. Rick Corelli, current Cup spotter, won the very first race here back in '98.
The High Plains drifter, a very good race car driver, and equally as good as a spotter. He spotted for me for quite some time, and had a lot of fun with Rick on the roof, listening to him, and the knowledge that I gained from him as a driver was something that helped me out a lot.
Some of the guys up there on that spotting stand, Jeff Green is in town, the 2000 Xfinity champion. He's spotting today for Tyler Ankrum. His brother Mark Green also up there spotting. So you love those guys that have the experience behind the wheel to be your spotter, Vince. You just have more confidence that they're not going to lead you astray. But some of the best spotters in the business never turned a lap. They just refine their craft by watching and listening and studying. That's quite an art, the spotting is.
Got some spotters up there also that have got a win this weekend already. Robbie Fast spots for Scott Dixon. He's spotting right now today, and won last night with Scott Dixon, so pretty cool for him.
Less than 10 to go in stage 2. Alan?
Yeah, and Todd Gilliland winning would affect the bubble, which would affect that 26 truck you see on your screen, driven by Tyler Ankrum. Tyler Ankrum driving okay. He started 8th, running 8th right now. I just talked to his crew chief there on the left side of your screen. Says they're just running a little too tight, and being a little too tight, especially off turn 2, it hurts Tyler Ankrum down the straightaway, so they have some adjustments to make in this upcoming pit stop.
Crew chief Chad Walter, used to work with him over at DEI, very knowledgeable racer. Doing a great job with that young guy, Tyler Ankrum.
Very intense, too. Chad is one of the more intense individuals I've ever worked with, and it was my engineer at Tommy Baldwin Racing for a year, and had a lot of fun working with him. And I can see where he's good for a young guy like Tyler Ankrum because of his knowledge and his experience.
Well, Ankrum really made that playoff jump at the road course at Daytona when he gained 34 points with that 6th place finish. Got him in a playoff position. And he's trying to hold on to it here with just 3 races to go in the regular season. As you look at Sheldon Creed running 4th and bringing Sam Mayer and Brett Moffett along with him.
That's a GMS train.
But GMS is really, speaking of GMS, in the 26 truck of Tyler Ankrum, he's out of that stable as well, being challenged by Ben Rhodes, but Mike Beam and company over there at GMS have really got that organization humming along.
They are certainly, I talked about Moffett being my championship favorite. They certainly have been bringing trucks to the track that have seemed to have a little bit more speed than the rest, but I'm very impressed by this effort today of Todd Gilliland, his team. Crosley Brands on the side of that.
You see that GMS has won 4 of the last 7. And 3 in a row. Zane Smith has won 2 of those 3, and Sheldon Creed winning the other.
Nothing gets by me, does it, Vince? I said they've been bringing fast trucks to the track, and the facts just back that straight up. Statistician Russell gives me a wink when he feeds me a line or 2.
There's Majeski and Rafael Lessard. Lessard in that 4 truck. He's been running a little bit better as he makes the adjustment in his rookie year, starting to get more comfortable with these racetracks that we're going to.
I guarantee you, getting in a spot like this where you want to just dive into that corner and steal that spot, it's really tempting for these young racers, but those trucks slip and slide so much on entry, that's risky.
The 45, Majeski, this was the team that won the race a year ago. Ross Chastain behind the wheel, but Phil Gould, the crew chief for Chastain, is crew chiefing this 45 effort again today.
I like what you said about Lessard, Vince. He just seems to be picking up the pace stronger and stronger recently, and you really like seeing a young guy get his legs under him. He's going to get crashed if he does that, though.
That's a move you got to be careful. got himself cleared off the corner right there, but unfortunately the other truck was so close that you start to lose the nose, you start to lose the tail. At the same time, you go into a four-wheel slide, lift off the gas pedal, then you get hit from behind. Very fortunate that he didn't get wrecked right there.
You got that right. You know how when somebody cuts you off on the interstate, Vince, it kind of makes you a little angry, maybe?
I blame it on the spotter.
It does the same thing in the racetrack, too. You get furious.
But multiply it by about 100 when it happens on the racetrack, because that was just, if you ask Ty Majeski, that was just rude of Rafael Lessard. He just slid up there, took his line away, and then let off the gas because he about crashed. And it doesn't matter what it looks like to Ty Majeski, that was not a cool move by Lessard in his eyes.
Some restraint from Majeski there, because he could have wrecked him, couldn't he?
Yeah, but you gotta make sure you pick your battles, and I think he let Lessard know he wasn't happy by shoving him all the way down the front straightaway.
You know, the unfortunate part is going to be that he got some pretty significant damage to the front of that race truck right there on Ty Majeski. Just that amount of contact, that's going to affect the rest of the day for him. I would expect this truck to be very tight after that happened right there.
Todd Gilliland's looking to get another playoff point, Vince, and then he's just going to look and hope he needs them because he's not locked in yet.
Absolutely. In the final lap here in stage 2, Gilliland was the stage 1 winner as well, and he's bringing it to get the green and white checkers, and Todd Gilliland does it again. The Furniture Row Motorsports contingent has won both stages, with Todd Gilliland taking stage 1 and 2, and the rest trying to sort themselves out to see who gets stage points in the top 10. Todd Gilliland, he's won the first 2 stages, the 3rd stage to come. It's only going to get tighter, you know it. The Gander trucks at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
The Gander trucks at Worldwide Technology Raceway at Gateway, just across the Mississippi River from St. Louis. 2 stages complete and hitting pit road for the final tune-up before the last stage. And the points earned so far today, it has been a good day for Todd Gilliland. He's won both stages. Zane Smith right there, Christian Eckes. See Tyler Ankrum, 5 important points as well as he tries to secure a playoff spot.
You know, Vince, we slow everything down and we give the guys 3 minutes to get their service done, and we still can't keep from running into one another.
I think we see now why the guys aren't allowed to cross the wall until everybody's in their pit box.
Alan.
Yeah, down here on pit road, you can see all the service going on. Great day so far, as the points showed for Todd Gilliland, but they think they can be better. They're just a tick too tight, so they're going to make an air pressure adjustment, some other adjustments to free it up just a bit. On to the 18 of Christian Eckes. We told you about adjusting as the temperature changed and everything. They're still adjusting for those changes. That's a new Kyle Busch Motorsports truck, and a lot of teams are saying they may bring the same truck they race here to Phoenix. So if that 18 truck is fast here, think about what it may do down the road if it's racing for a championship. And finally, Sheldon Creed, haven't talked about him much. He started 17th today in today's race. He's moved up to 5th, but in terms of going forward even more, he says he has to slow down way too much in turns 3 and 4. They're making a big adjustment to the track bar and air adjustment, big adjustment for the 2 crew as they look to go even further.
Yeah, Jeff Stankiewicz, the crew chief for that team, was telling me this week that he was concerned about that 17th place starting position because track position is so important here. As you get a good look at that splitter on left front splitter on the 38 that you talked about earlier, Mike, on that front row Motorsports truck of Todd Gilliland.
Yeah, front row's doing a great job with this truck. I was worried that it would take downforce away, Riggy. You can see it's worn back, but certainly it didn't affect the way it handled a bit. He just went out there and took that stage. So it's a bit excessive, but evident also that means they're perfectly taking advantage of all the aerodynamics that truck has to offer.
I think the good news is it hasn't gotten any worse this stage than it was the first.
It's been pretty sporty so far. He's won the first 2 stages. Final stage to come next.
Hey, coming up Tuesday right here on FS1, a Major League Baseball doubleheader. First at 6:30 Eastern, the Blue Jays try to continue their winning ways, taking on the Marlins. Then at 9:30, the A's battle the Mariners. Catch all the action Tuesday on FS1 and the Fox Sports app.
Gotta love a little Tuesday evening doubleheader. Double dipper.
Sports is, it's so nice to have sports back in its different varieties. We did the NFL promo a little while ago. Looking forward to NFL action returning on Fox.
And now it's also time for the Cup playoffs as we bear toward Phoenix to finish this crazy season up.
Yeah, it's all heating up, and it's heating up right here too, Alan.
Yeah, just to update you on the full bubble picture, Derek Kraus right on it, not having a great day. As you can see, he'd be minus 21 to the bubble at the moment. I talked to his crew chief, Kevin Bellicourt, and they just said, look, that, track position is hurting them a little bit and helping them get through the field, but they've been tight just all race, so they've just made another big swing at it. If you look close at that truck, it's been through some stuff. It's got a lot of contact on the left front, the left rear there, and it's been a rough day so far for the 19. Big swing in terms of handling they just made.
Well, and Alan mentioned crew chief Justin Bellicourt, or excuse me, Kevin Bellicourt, and Kevin won with Justin Haley here in the Gander trucks back in 2018.
A good run for those guys back then, and I think it's funny, we look at this truck and it looks like he's been running at Martinsville, but yet a good portion of this broadcast we've been talking about the aero importance at Worldwide Technology Raceway, so certainly Derek Kraus getting a little beating and banging along with that.
Coming to the choose zone.
These guys will pick what they think is the preferred line. You can see Mayer went up top when he could have went to the bottom. Now we'll just fill in the positions from there on out.
I like where guys get to that point and go, oh, I got to make a decision. Did Friesen run over?
Yes, he did. Pretty sure he did.
Further back in the field you go, the more difficult it becomes also to make your choice and make your decision, and that's
well, how difficult can it be? It's top or bottom. I mean,
yeah,
you don't have 8 choices.
You're trying to count the trucks in front of you. Your spotter's talking to you about who's gone to which direction or not. And you usually have a number, and it just creeps up on you. You can't see very far in front of you.
And one last look at some of the guys that have been good here under the arch.
Those crew chiefs that we talked about, Bellicourt winning with Justin Haley in 2018, Shane Wilson and Brendan Gaughan, Joe Shear, we mentioned earlier, won with Cole Custer in 2015, Mike Hillman Jr., Bodine.
What about Trip Bruce?
Yep.
Let's throw it all the way back to 07 with JB.
The final stage. Has anything you've seen so far through the first 2 stages changed your mind about who might be the favorite here to win it?
Well, you got to love the way that 38 truck is performing. He's been spot on all day.
Final stage underway. Gilliland and Eckes on that front row, and Eckes gets out in front. Can he make it count and make it stick? Gilliland fighting back on the outside.
Really nice corner by Eckes just to even stay door to door with him, and maybe used him up a little bit, but that's what you got to do at this stage of the race. As we see it might help him get the lead here off of turn 4.
Oh, pretty smart there not to shut the door, huh, Regan? That would have caused for a mess. Got to be careful here on the inside on this entry. Makes me nervous every time they fly down in there like that.
So tight as they work their way through turn 2 and onto the backstretch.
You heard him pedal just a little bit right there, and that's enough now to let the 2 truck of Sheldon Creed get a run to the inside. And that's why you got to be so careful when you make that move at the start of a run.
And there's Sam Mayer right behind that 18 of Eckes. Zane Smith in the mix. Boy, it is tight up at the front, and so many contenders, trucks that have been stout today. We're shaping up. I know we've got 42 to go, but already thinking about how good this one could be right to the end.
Look at the high move by Sam Mayer. Tried to look on the outside of Eckes. Couldn't quite get there, but man, he opened his eyes. I guarantee you that. Eckes fills him all over the back.
Mayer again in that 24 truck, just 17 years old. One of 8 teenagers in the field today.
Made a great move right there to take some liberties with the 18 of Eckes. Unfortunately, it allowed Zane Smith to almost get 2 spots there as we see him door to door and bumper to bumper right there.
Just a couple of teenagers banging into one another at high speeds.
170 miles an hour. This is great racing. Wow. Just tells you how difficult it is to pass and how talented these young racers are to be able to hang onto their trucks while bouncing off each other.
Yeah, 24 Mayer, we mentioned is 17. Eckes way up out of the groove.
I think he's got a flat.
Yeah, got a problem. The 18 of Eckes. Oh, what a heartbreaker for that group. He has been so good today.
Little contact with Mayer as they raced.
Looks like possibly the left front right there looks a little bit low on that truck.
You saw him waving his hand to let those behind him know that he was having a problem. So Christian Eckes, who in his 2 previous runs here has led laps and has been in contention to win, much like today, but those 2 previous races he had a problem, accidents involved, and today it's a flat tire. Boy, a heartbreaker for Eckes.
Oh.
Battle for the lead, and now Gilliland is in the wall after Sheldon Creed doors him.
Yeah, that's aggressive. Just a mistake on Creed's part, and who paid the price? The guy that's dominated today, Todd Gilliland.
Gilliland, far and away, has been the man out front today. He's led 70 laps, and now he's got significant damage to that 38 truck.
And remember the playoff implications that this has.
Yeah, Gilliland came into the race on the bubble. Boy, so 2 of our race contenders, the 18 of Eckes and the 38 of Gilliland, just like that. Major problems.
I was just about to say, these guys knew that they had to go right now and get past Gilliland if they were going to have the opportunity to. That truck had been so good on the long runs. Unfortunately, the first move Sheldon Creed makes, that was a case where I think the arrow actually bit him as those 2 trucks got extremely close together on the entry of 1.
Yeah, I was talking earlier about how hard it is to do that, and that's just a great example. A guy just oversteps his boundaries and wipes the dominant truck out. Watch this late dive, a really deep entry into the corner, and right there, just the front end. The aerodynamics were gone, Regan. He had no control, or not a lot of control over that truck, and he ran over him.
And you even see the nose of the 2 truck with Sheldon Creed. It pops up and down just a little bit. That's enough to get you off your line, and now you're side by side with that truck closer than what you want to be. Alan?
Yeah, they're going to have to come down here and pit. They were hoping the tires would stay up, but they're worried the fender damage is just going to cut down those right tires. Todd was being called down to pit road, so we're expecting to be here very soon. Just over the radio, they came over and said the 2 wrecked us.
Well, and remember, we've talked about these new pit strategy, or the new pit procedures. You can only change tires at the stage breaks, or if you've had a flat tire or you have a tire issue because of contact that we've seen here with Creed and Gilliland. So Gilliland coming to get service, but his chances of winning today
gone.
Yes. Well, and the other unfortunate part to this is you don't have your typical pit crews who can get this done in 15, 16 seconds. You may lose an extra lap because of it. And on the other side of the screen here, we see Christian Eckes going behind the wall. His day is definitely over now.
So with the problems to Eckes and Gilliland, it has set the stage, as you see David Gilliland, Todd's dad, looking on.
They've done such a great job building this team and getting in a position for that young racer to go to victory lane, and today looked to be a great obvious opportunity for that, but now that's all out the window.
Well, on the right side of the screen, it's a battle for third between Zane Smith and Brett Moffett. How about GMS? We were saying GMS's praises earlier in the show, saying they've won the last 3 and 4 of the last 7. Right now they are 1 through 4 on the board with Mayer, Creed, Smith, and Moffett. And a caution is out, and more contact heavy into the wall.
Jennifer Jo Cobb.
And that truck is used up. She's had a pretty significant incident. Looks like in turns 1 and 2 with the right front there.
So Jen Jo, see if we can see it. Yeah, boy, I think maybe
Could have been
a tire go down there, maybe?
Flat right front, maybe.
Almost got to believe that's definitely what it was. As straight as that truck went right there, that's usually the sign of the right front. Definitely not doing what you want it to do.
And you see their 201 career Truck Series starts. Mentioned that last week as she made her 200th.
Yeah, she's a great competitor, and this is a small budgeted team, so that kind of damage really hurts.
You know who else that hurts is Todd Gilliland. They hit pit road. If he could have just held out another 2 laps, maybe at least could have salvaged not losing any laps right there. We talk about the points implications, and we'll have to keep an eye on that as we get closer to the cutoff race at Richmond.
You know what I love, Vince? We don't have to guess wrong whether they're going to pit or not. You know, we always try to be the crew chiefs here on Fox and say, okay, I think they got to come or they're not going to pit. We know what they're going to do right here. Stay out because they can't take tires under the caution.
And if they need fuel here, they got bigger issues to worry about at this moment.
This is intense.
Going to come back and refire, restart, and maybe a sprint to the finish.
Back here live at Worldwide Technology Raceway. Unfortunately for the 18 crew and Christian Eckes behind the wall, you can see the hood is up on that truck, and Christian Eckes joins us. You were on the move. You were going for the lead up to second. What happened?
Yeah, well, I got ran through. I mean, it all started when I had a vibration at the end of stage 2. I really didn't know what it was, and I refired there, and the car was kind of uncontrollable. Yeah, the kid's just a dummy. But that wasn't the real reason why we broke, but I'm sure it didn't help matters. And we ended up breaking a drive shaft. Like I said, I had a real bad vibration at the end of stage 2. But as a whole, obviously we wish we'd finish a damn race here, but both for me and Rudy. But well, I guess move on to Darlington and Richmond, and we got a good enough cushion we can go race there and hopefully get a win.
Another tough run for Christian Eckes at Gateway, guys.
was one of the nicest insults I've ever heard.
If you just say it, you know, within the
Softly.
rhythm of your other
Yeah.
parts of the conversation, it doesn't seem quite as bad.
There's going to be other drivers that are going to probably be equally as or if not more upset over some of the actions that, particularly Todd Gilliland. I mean, that's just hard for him to stomach with the way that truck was performing.
I was going to say maybe the guy that led 70 laps today and looked like he was going to dominate. And we got the choose cone again here, one of my favorite additions, Michael.
Just don't run over it.
Yeah, you know, we talked about how GMS is running 1, 2, 3, 4. We've seen this story before, haven't we, teammates?
There was 3 of them involved right there.
Still not sure who actually caused that one. I know what we thought we saw and what we've heard them say.
Yeah, and it hasn't been exclusive to GMS. Here's a couple of ThorSport teammates. Johnny Sauter wasn't too happy with Grant Infinger in this situation.
Can you get Kyle Busch Motorsports in on the action too?
Oh, sure.
Vince?
We don't want to leave anybody out. Chandler Smith and Christian Eckes.
Man, that was a couple of fast trucks too.
It's a bad time of the year to be teammates, evidently, because Friday night we saw it in the Xfinity race as well.
Yeah.
The leaders wiped each other out coming to the checkered flag.
Well, and we aren't done yet. We've got the first 2 rows full of GMS trucks with less than 30 to go here at Worldwide Technology Raceway.
And the first truck in row on the inside of row 3 is a GMS truck as well. Those guys really have the setups dialed in. There you see Tyler Ankrum.
Christian Eckes proved on the last restart you can make the inside work. Perhaps Sheldon Creed, we knew he was aggressive a minute ago. I'm curious to see what happens in turn 1 right here.
He cannot dive in there like he just did. We know that for sure, and he knows that now.
Creed inside, Sam Mayer outside.
Looked like Sam Mayer maybe spun the tires just a little bit right there. That's youth and inexperience, just trying to figure out how much he can get and how aggressive he can be with it.
But I love his line. He went in plenty high, arced in the middle of the corner, and really drove off hard and got the lead back.
Just Mayer's 5th start in the trucks. Looks like he's got plenty of experience, though, the way he's driven that thing today.
But every time I read an ARCA result or a K&N's result, it always has Sam Mayer up in the top 5 and winning races. Very talented young racer.
On board with Matt Crafton. Everybody trying to find some space, and there is not much of it.
Danny Bone in that 30 up on the high side. Majeski had that damage earlier. These trucks all running just outside the top 10, and they ran into each other.
The 40 of Carson Hocevar slow.
Hocevar was in the top 10. He does such a great job when he gets his chances to run, and then had an issue there, but another solid run for the young man.
Still trying to sort itself out. There's single file 1, 2, 3, and Mayer, Creed, and Smith, and then it's a bit more of a gaggle, a little deeper in the field. Rafael Lessard in that 4 truck leading that charge.
There's Derek Kraus looking to the outside of 98 of Infinger. Kraus knows he's got to go.
Watch Crafton try to avoid it all.
Oh, that's when Hocevar broke. I think that was Danny Bone in the 30, had to make an evasive move, and
lucky that didn't turn into a bigger problem than what it was right there.
well, Hocevar unbroke now.
Yeah, seems like he's back under power. And Crafton outside the top 10, rides 14th. Bone and Austin Wayne Self in the 22. Ankrum and Moffett for 5th. You see where the GMS contingent is rolling today, and they are fast. And 1, 2, 3. Only Rafael Lessard in the 4th spot is breaking up the party.
I'm not sure that was the order of the GMS trucks we would have predicted at the beginning of the day, but no surprise to see them all up front like that.
Boy, it didn't take long, though, for us to notice those lap times the 24 of Sam Mayer could pull off. Wow, was he fast from the beginning, moved up through traffic, and now he's got control of the race.
Austin Hill worked inside the top 10. He's in the 7th spot. make it 6th as he just took the position from Ankrum.
He's gotten better all day, Vince. They struggled a little bit early, but it seems like adjustments under our 2 stage breaks have been favorable for the 16 team.
Austin Hill continuing to protect that points lead. He's the regular season points leader.
That's got to give that 16 team some confidence as we keep talking about Phoenix and we talk about this track compared to Phoenix. The fact that they're at their best at the end of the race, they're gonna use that as they get closer to that championship race if they can make it that far.
Well, and the 15 bonus points for being the regular season points leader will help them get that far. As you see the regular season standings. And remember those playoff points, the bonus points, you get to carry those throughout each round of the playoffs.
They're like luggage. You keep them forever.
What's our friend Larry McReynolds say? You get your bucket of playoff points.
Fill up the bucket. Sam Mayer being chased by teammate Sheldon Creed. Mayer, the 17-year-old, trying to get his first career Truck Series win.
He's getting that 24 truck all warmed up for Greg Biffle, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
Biffle going to join us at Darlington.
Gander RV and Outdoors, 20 to go for our leader, Sam Mayer.
We see Sam Mayer. He's continuing to work that groove up a little higher and a little higher. He's committed to the top both in turns 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, which has given him a nice run down the straightaways to keep that momentum built up in that truck.
Going to take a break, but don't worry, you won't miss a thing. Going to keep it right here side by side. Going to keep on trucking on Worldwide Technology Raceway. Hey, Friday, live from the WWE Thunderdome. Witness the fallout from the Universal Championship Triple Threat match. Plus the stunning partnership between Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman will be explained on an all-new Friday Night SmackDown. 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Central on Fox. Hey, and it wasn't that long ago that we had our own little smackdown going on right here at WWT.
Yeah, this gets really good, and then it gets kind of bad.
Spencer Gallagher and John West Townley.
This would be the part, I think, where you're referencing it gets kind of bad, Michael. Right about here?
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all recall or not, but here we go. Takedown.
Oh. Longtime wrestling announcer J.R. Ross would say, man, my God, he's got a family.
Now we're just tired. You know, this is starting to remind me a little bit of when I did Dancing with the Stars, Vince. I mean, I didn't hit anyone.
You were about that graceful.
I didn't hit anyone, but I didn't hurt anyone.
Well, you saw it during the commercial break as we were side by side, and the troubles for Austin Wayne Self in that 22 truck. He and Carson Hocevar tangling, and Self getting the worst of it.
And I think Self went looking for Hocevar under the caution.
Tried to get to him, didn't he?
Hocevar just 17 years old as well, one of our teenagers. So that truck, Regan, just got loose on entry like we've seen down into turn one. Same thing that happened to Sheldon Creed when he wiped out the dominant truck of the day, Todd Gilliland.
And that's a mistake that he will learn from. He'll know the next time that that can be a problem getting into the corner there.
Yeah, Hocevar just a few starts in his Gander Trucks career.
But he's done well,
Yep.
Vince. I mean, he drove up to the top 10 here today.
Let's get some updates here with 15 to go and maybe how this thing's going to shake out down the stretch. Alan?
Yeah, significant circumstance change for Derek Kraus in the 19 there. Once it looks like Todd Gilliland is no longer going to be eligible to win this race, that means a lot for Derek Kraus's position on the bubble. They're still having a pretty bad day, though, in terms of just being tight. A little salvageable. He came across the radio and said, I'm just doing what I can. His crew chief came back over the radio and says, look, I just didn't give you a great truck today. You're doing a great job. Bring it home. And they'll have a better points position than they had just a few laps ago. As for the leader, young Sam Mayer, hearing a lot of encouragement over the radio each corner every time they made a lap. But during that caution, once the yellow flag came out, he came over the radio and said, look, I want to hear less on the radio. I don't need lap times. The only thing I want to do is look forward. And if I'm pulling away, tell me.
Rather mature of the young man, isn't it? Isn't it, Regan? You know, sometimes you feel like you're out there on an island, you need someone talking to you, and other times you just want to focus, and that's what the driver of the 24 requested. Just let me be.
Well, and I think, you know, every driver wants something a little bit different. Me personally, I would always tell, whether it was my spotter or my crew chief, give me more than I want. If I want to back it up, if I don't want all of that, I'll tell you, and that's clearly what he has done right there. He's going to have to focus on this restart, though. It looked like on the last restart, he spun the tires just a little bit too much, getting aggressive with the gas pedal. He can't afford to let that happen right here because Sheldon Creed has shown that his truck is equally as good. It's going to come down to who can get the position right here.
And the thing is, Vince, they're going to push that entry even harder now. Even harder down into the corner, making the chances of the inside truck getting loose even greater in contact. Watch for that.
Meanwhile, Brett Moffett's hoping that they have that problem and run each other up the racetrack, because then he can just set sail from that third position.
Rafael Lessard up there on that outside, third one back.
5 of the last 6 races here, the final lead change has come in the last 10 laps, so don't be surprised to see maybe the lead swap a time or two here in these final laps. There will be 13 to go when they cross the line. Mayer and Creed out front, and Creed gets a great jump. Mayer does not. Maybe some of that inexperience of Sam Mayer making just his 5th start costly at this time of the race.
Just didn't perform on that restart, Regan, just like you hinted that he didn't get a good start the one before it. He definitely spun his tires there, didn't take advantage of being the controlled truck. He had the prerogative to leave when he wanted, and that's the advantage that you try to take advantage of when you start on the outside, and he didn't perform.
Well, once he spun him, it looked like Zane Smith got to the back bumper, which made him spin him even more, caused more of an issue for him right there. So now what he's got to be careful to do as we see a battle for the lead with Brett Moffett and Sheldon Creed getting ready to start here, he's got to be careful not to overdrive the truck. He's still got a fast truck. I feel like we're going to see some side-by-side battle, and this is where he needs his crew chief talking to him right now, telling him, take a breath, we're still good, you can still win this thing.
What about, we talked about Austin Hill getting better and better. He's all the way up to third. He just He just keeps gaining ground.
And don't forget, this is the final race of our Triple Truck Challenge. Sheldon Creed has already won one of those races. If he would win again, it would be another $100,000 for Creed's, for a 2-win total of 150 grand. And for Brett Moffett, if he would get the win, it'd be a $50,000 bonus.
Well, and think about Brett Moffett when he respected Sheldon Creed down at Daytona on the road course. He didn't give him a push, didn't give him a shove. These are teammates. I wonder if Brett Moffitt's thinking, come on, buddy, cut me a break here.
Mayer, who's been so strong today, rides in 4th. Zane Smith, his teammate, right behind him in 5th. Stuart Friesen up there working on his 3rd straight top 10 in the 6th spot.
Regan, does it make it that much different? That truck was out front and he was driving away. Now he's back to 4th and he can't hardly keep up with the top 3. You think the balance changes that much with the aerodynamics that he's lost on his nose?
Well, I think there's definitely a balance shift, but we've seen that truck be good in traffic earlier today. He was one of the best trucks in traffic. I felt like he could really get to the back bumper of other vehicles pretty easily and not be affected by that air. You know, I think some of it right now is just the simple fact that he's frustrated. This is a 17-year-old guy that's out there, and he just lost the lead. He could see his first win. He had it in grasp, and now he's probably overdriving, trying just a little bit too hard, and perhaps a little bit too tight with that truck, as you said, Michael.
Look at Friesen trying to make the move on Zane Smith for 5th. Lassard right there keeping tabs on them as well. Side by side, and Friesen trying to grab the spot. Smith not going to give it up easily. There's Austin Wayne Self on the right-hand side. Remember, he was upset with the 40 of Kosovar.
That's just a bad plan right there. 22 can't get to him, and NASCAR won't.
They won't take kindly to that.
Not at all. They won't think too much of that move.
And nor should they. Here's Grant Infinger in the 98. Haven't talked about Infinger really at all today, other than some problems that he'd had handling-wise earlier, and boom, there he finds himself inside the top 10, trying to salvage something here in this one with less than 10 to go.
It's really been a tough day for Thorsport as a whole. The problems that Johnny Sauter early on, and you know, Matt Crafton thinking that they've maybe got some issues as well under the hood that they can't resolve right now. So not the momentum they wanted leaving this race going towards Phoenix later this year.
Yeah, Sauter out early, will finish last today, and Matt Crafton back outside the top 10.
Shout out to Stuart Friesen. He's done a nice job today. That team just needing some breath of fresh air to get into the playoffs. Need to win a race, but hadn't been a year like we expected for Stuart Friesen, but nice run today.
Well, and again, Mike, as we talked a little earlier about the fact that it seems like they're at least pointed in the right direction. This would be their 3rd straight top 10. Haven't challenged to lead or win races, but at least running in the top 10 now, as you see Zane Smith and Rafael Lassard. Lassard taking the spot, but Smith coming right back as you look at the bubble points there in the pylon. Ankrum and Kraus on each side of the line. Todd Gilliland had that dominant truck today. Led 70 laps. Looked like maybe he was going to be the guy to beat without too much of a stretch. But Sheldon Creed dove down inside of him to try to contest the lead and ended up getting into Gilliland and putting him into the wall, ending Todd's chances for the win. But meanwhile, Sheldon Creed has capitalized on it, and with 4 laps to go, he is out front. Brett Moffett chasing, and Austin Hill is in 3rd.
Brett Moffitt's truck is just not quite as good as he wants right here. He's got pressure from Austin Hill. That's not allowing him to do exactly what he wants to with his vehicle as well. He's got to defend just a little bit, and you know, Sheldon Creed's just a little bit faster right now as we see Austin Hill dive to the inside to make the move.
And that's so frustrating, Regan, as you well know, just seeing that leader right out there for the taking, but you just can't get your truck to agree with how you want to attack the corners, and he just creeps ever so slightly away.
Especially when 2 out of the last 3 weeks it's your teammate, the same teammate in front of you.
Well, Moffett has been so strong of late. 2 weeks ago at Daytona on the road course, he ran 2nd. Last week at Dover, he ran 3rd. Today, he's in the 2nd spot again. Still hasn't gotten that win, but he is making a habit of being up front.
He's destined to win. There's no doubt about it. but maybe just not today.
2 laps left for Sheldon Creed. Well, it's been challenging last month for Creed. You know, back at Kansas, they had the accident. They were challenging for the lead at that time. And then at Michigan, it was an alternator problem. Finished 30th. But then they came back at Daytona, the road course, and got the win. But then got caught up in an accident last week at Dover and finished 22nd. I mean, he's been outside the top 20 in 3 of the last 4 races, but that one that he was inside the top 20 was a win. And he's a mile and a quarter away from doing it again, Sheldon Creed. Meanwhile, a good battle for second as Hill still pressures Moffett.
These guys have been dicing it up, side drafting each other the whole way down the back straightaway last time, and just not quite enough for either one of them.
Hill is going to pressure Moffett to the finish, but no one will pressure Sheldon Creed. For the 3rd time this season, Sheldon Creed is the winner. Victorious at Worldwide Technology Raceway. The 4th consecutive win for GMS. And today they go 1-2. Creed and Moffett, and Brett giving him a little congratulatory bump. Is that the racer's version of the high five?
That was it right there, and you saw Sheldon acknowledge him. You know, when he won that $50,000 bonus at Daytona, he said it was rad, Vince. What do you think he's going to think about the $150,000 bonus that he's going to get today? Really rad, I guess.
Yeah, with that triple truck challenge, you win once, you get 50 grand. You win twice, it's a total of 150, and if you would win all 3 of them, it'd be a $500,000 payday. So for Sheldon Creed, 150 grand. Thank you very much. Not bad for 3 weeks' work.
GMS right now wishes that would have gone across the board for the team. They could have kept up in it. As you see, they won all 3 of the triple truck races.
Nice burnout there. You know, he also implied, Vince, that he didn't know if he'd get any of that 50 grand or not, but it would, if he did, then it would be rad. Yeah. He's got to check closer on this.
You see that tire mark there on the right side of the truck? You saw that there briefly when we were showing you that the 2 had a big donut right in the middle, and that was from the 38 of Todd Gilliland. It'll be interesting the conversation Gilliland might want to have with Sheldon Creed when it's all said and done today.
Well, there's a lot of upset team members too. They worked so hard to bring a fast truck to the track and then just have it take it. He just messed up, made a mistake, and ran over Todd Gilliland.
Sheldon Creed, victory number 3 on the season. Hey, you won $50,000 a few weeks ago. You just won another $100,000 as part of the Triple Truck Challenge. How's that sound?
Feels great, man. I want to start with apologizing to the 38. It's so hard to pass here, and I got the opportunity to get to his inside, and just was really loose getting in. He was pretty close to my door, and yeah. They were having such a good day, and me and Todd are buddies, and hate to do that to them. They're a strong team, so he owes me one, but hats off to my guys. Great adjustments all day. Came from 17 and had my workout cut out for me, and just tried to do clean passes and had to be really aggressive, but man, Chevrolet Accessories, Team Chevy, GMS Racing, GMS Fab Shop, Jeff, Sam, all my guys, my whole family back home watching. Thank you guys. My youngest nephew turned 1 today, so pretty cool. Happy birthday, little buddy, and man, just happy to get another win before playoffs start.
Sheldon Creed moving from race winner to championship contender, guys.
A 3rd win this season for Sheldon Creed. Of the championship contenders, no one's won more than Creed.
Welcome back to Victory Lane, but how about having some fans in the crowd?
so nice seeing all you guys out there in the stands, and I hope you guys enjoyed that. This is a huge win for you, third on this season, but after a string of worse than 16 finishes, what confidence does this give you now with this 3 races to go to the first? No, I mean, just after getting that first win, we've had confidence and we've had speed. Just little problems, got hit at Dover and had an alternator go bad at Michigan. Just we've been there. We've had speed at all these tracks. Just they got to have a little luck with you. So just proud of my guys. They've been working really hard, and man, to get 3 wins before playoff start, that's huge for us. And man, I'm bummed to hit the 38 like that. Just they were having a really good day and had a shot for the lead, and I just got really loose underneath them and couldn't turn the wheel. And I thought we were both going to drive out there all right. There you got the wall. And how about Sam there, man? The 24th shot, the kid, he did such a good job there. Just spun the tire on that restart and then let us get here. Yeah, we can see on that final restart. The clean air here is everything. And you saw the restart that you out front. What was the difference there? Yeah, it was amazing how fast the truck was. And he could run up the lane everywhere. Where if I went up there, I was really, really tight. And man, he was trying to stop, or I don't know, but he didn't spin the tires for, he got jacked up, I think it was the 21 or whatever happened, but I'm glad he did, man. Let us get another win here, and man, it's really happened for the guys, and thank y'all for coming again. And how about the triple truck showdown here in the nice big payday, too? That's gotta feel even better. Yeah, it feels great. Get another 50 grand. I think it's 150 now, so that's pretty cool for our team, and man, I just hope we can keep this ball rolling. All right, that's your winner here, Worldwide Technology Raceway here at Gateway. Sheldon Creed gets it done for GMS.
All right, Sheldon Creed is celebrating his victory today. Sunoco, the official fuel of NASCAR. Sunoco, fueling victories all season long. Let's hear from more drivers.
The Gander Trucks at Worldwide Technology Raceway. It's a 1-2 kind of day for GMS Racing. Sheldon Creed, the winner. Brett Moffett finishes second. The Heartbreak Award goes to Todd Gilliland. He's with Allen.
It really does. Another frustrating end for a race for Todd Gilliland. We heard Sheldon Creed's side of it. He was very apologetic right out of the truck, but let's get your side of it. What'd you see out there on the track?
I think he knows what happened. I think I know what happened. He's drove in there over his head and got us, but that's racing. God, I just hate it, man. My guys work day and night for me. So cool to have Crosley on board. Yeah, I don't know. Probably wasn't hard enough for me to hit the wall, just got me out of shape there. Man, we just had such a good truck from the beginning, going from 6th to 1st and under green to win both stages. Gosh, man, just such a good day. I feel like that was one of the more dominant truck races I've ever ran. So we just need to keep this up. The guys we're racing suck today. So, man, we needed those points, and just all we can do, I got to thank Crosley, Front Row Motorsports, Bob Jenkins. I hope they're all proud watching us up there, and we're going to go do the same thing at Darlington. 2 stage wins, but what could have been for Todd Gilliland?
Yeah, but despite the fact that he finishes 22nd today, Gilliland, because of those 2 stage wins, it really was a pretty good points day for him. He actually gained 11 points on the bubble.
Yeah, but he knows what could have been too, doesn't he, Regan? You just hate to give an opportunity like this away, but tied for that final transfer spot with Tyler Ankrum, and Derek Kraus is sitting there knowing it's pretty much going to take a perfect Darlington for he or any of those guys under the cut line to make the playoffs.
Second place finisher today, Brett Moffett with Allen.
Yeah, yet another good run for Brett Moffett, but I can tell sometimes, these get frustrating for you. 2nd, 3rd, not good enough. How do you describe a day like this?
Frustrating. We weren't all that good. We were just in the right place at the right time. All the GMS trucks had a lot of speed, so always thankful for that and proud of everyone back at the shop and the trucks they're bringing us. We just got to keep getting better, which we have been, so it's a positive. It's just frustrating not to be winning races, and congrats to Sheldon. It was good being able to work with teammates on that final restart and push him to the lead there, and he was able to hold us off.
Not that it's what you want, but we saw a champion last year who didn't get a checkered flag, still got the big trophy. What are you thinking about as we look toward Phoenix?
Yeah, that big trophy pays a hell of a lot more than these race wins, so hopefully we'll just be in the right position. We really got to fight for 2nd in points here to try to get some playoff points. you know, it's that's the biggest bummer is we're kind of behind on that game. So we need to fight for second in the regular season and keep building momentum. And I think the potential's there for us to get on a streak at any point. Now we just need to cross all our T's and dot our I's and make our trucks a little bit better, and we'll be there.
Second place for Brett Moffett.
Yeah, 3 straight top 3 performances for Moffett. They are so close, and he talks about needing to get a little better. It's not going to be a big jump. Sheldon Creed, the winner, his 3rd of the season.